Mary stood before the office door, her heart in her throat, when she heard his voice echo coldly down the corridor. "You have no right to be here, to feel what you feel, to make me forget who I am." She choked back a sob, clutched her apron in trembling fingers, and replied with something no servant was expected to say, "But you have already forgotten, Baron, and so have I." Before we delve into this tale, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 10 and let us know which town you're joining us from. May this moment bring reflection and emotion to your heart. The wagon rattled once more on the dirt road, and Mary felt her stomach churn. It wasn't just the bumpy ride that bothered her, it was the weight of what was to come. At 18, she already knew enough about life to understand that when her father handed her over to that grim-faced man in black, there was no farewell. There was only silence. A silence that hurt more than any slap. Blackwood Estate appeared on the horizon like a vision from another world. White walls, tall windows, iron gates that seemed to guard ancient secrets. Mary had never seen anything so grand, so imposing. Beside her in the wagon, an older woman grumbled softly, complaining about the heat and the dust. It was Eleanor, the estate's housekeeper, responsible for picking up the new maid. "Listen here, girl," Eleanor said without looking at Mary, adjusting the scarf on her head. "Inside, you're nobody, understand? You're not to look any important person in the eye. You're not to speak unless spoken to, and certainly not to wander around the house beyond the kitchen and the servants' quarters. The Baron doesn't like idle chatter." Mary merely nodded. She didn't have much to say anyway. Ever since her mother died and her father sank deep into debt, she had learned to stay quiet. Talking too much only brought trouble. When the wagon stopped in front of the gates, Mary slowly climbed down, holding the bundle of clothes she carried. Her clothes were few and old, but they were clean. It was all she had. Eleanor got down first, clapped her hands twice, and called for someone to open the gates. That's when Mary saw him. He stood on the veranda of the main house, watching their arrival. He was tall, with broad shoulders and the posture of a man who didn't need to say a word to command respect. He wore a white shirt with sleeves rolled up to his elbows and dark trousers, leather boots that gleamed even from a distance. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, as if he had just run a hand through it impatiently. But it was his eyes that held Mary captive. Dark, heavy eyes, the kind that seemed to carry the weight of many sleepless nights. And he was looking directly at her. Mary felt a shiver run up her spine. It wasn't fear. It was something else, something she couldn't name. For an instant, the world seemed to stop. He didn't avert his gaze, and neither did she. It was as if, in those few seconds, something invisible had connected between them. Something that made no sense at all, but was there, pulsing in the warm afternoon air. "Mary, come along, girl." Eleanor's voice broke the spell. Mary blinked, lowered her head, and followed the housekeeper towards the back of the estate. But as she walked, she felt his eyes still on her. And when she dared to glance back, he was still there, motionless, watching. The kitchen was enormous, with a wood-burning stove that occupied half the wall and copper pots hanging from hooks. Two women worked inside, one chopping onions and the other stirring a steaming pot. They stopped what they were doing when Eleanor entered with Mary behind her. "This one's new," the housekeeper announced, crossing her arms. "She'll be responsible for cleaning the East Wing rooms and will help in the kitchen when needed. No talking to the masters, no prying. Here we work in silence." The two women nodded quietly, returning to their tasks. Eleanor showed Mary a tiny room in the back, with a narrow bed, a stool, and a candle on a wooden shelf. It was small, but it was hers, more than she had had at home. "You start early tomorrow," Eleanor said before leaving. "And if I catch you slacking off or being lazy, you'll be sent back where you came from. Understood?" Mary murmured, "Yes, ma'am," and was left alone in the small room. She sat on the bed, feeling the thin mattress sink slightly under her weight. The window was small, but she could see part of the garden, and in the distance, the silhouette of the main house against the orange sky of late afternoon. She thought of her father. Did he miss her? Or had the money he received for selling her as a servant already been spent on drink and gambling? Mary closed her eyes and tried not to cry. It was no use. Crying had never helped. That night, she barely slept. The sounds of the estate were different from what she was used to. Crickets, wind in the trees, the rustling of creatures in the brush, and up at the main house, a light that stayed on late. Mary wondered who was awake. Was it him? The Baron with the heavy eyes? She found herself remembering the moment their gazes had met, and for some reason, her heart began to race again. The first few days at Blackwood Estate were a whirlwind. Mary woke before sunrise, washed her face in the cold basin, and went to the kitchen, where she helped prepare breakfast. Afterward, she went up to the east wing with buckets of water, cloths, and a broom, cleaning the empty rooms and the long corridors that seemed endless. The house was too silent. Mary didn't know if that was good or bad. Sometimes while cleaning, she would hear footsteps downstairs, muffled voices. But she never saw anyone other than the other servants and Eleanor, who supervised everything with a hawk's eye. She only saw the Baron from a distance. He left early to attend to estate business and returned in the late afternoon, always with that closed-off expression, as if carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Mary tried not to look, but it was difficult. There was something about him that drew attention. Perhaps it was the loneliness he seemed to carry, visible even from afar. It was only on Thursday of that first week that Mary had her second encounter with the Baron. She was finishing tidying one of the rooms in the east wing when she heard the door open behind her. She turned, startled, and came face to face with him. The Baron stood in the doorway, looking at her with an indefinable expression. "Forgive me, sir," Mary stammered, dropping the cloth and lowering her head. "I was just finishing." He said nothing for a few seconds. He just stood there, watching. Mary felt her face flush. Had she done something wrong? "What is your name?" His voice was deep, but not harsh. "Mary, sir." "Mary," he repeated, as if testing the name on his tongue. "Where did you come from?" "From St. John's Hollow, sir, a village nearby." He nodded slowly, still observing her. Mary didn't know where to put her hands. She wanted to leave, but she couldn't just walk past him and flee. "Can you read?" The question caught her by surprise. "A little, sir. My mother taught me before she passed away." He frowned slightly, and for an instant, Mary saw something pass across his face, something akin to understanding. But it was fleeting. He returned to his neutral expression and nodded. "You may continue your work." And he left. Mary stood there, her heart pounding, trying to understand what had just happened. Why did he ask those questions? Why did he look at her that way? She finished cleaning in a hurry and went down to the kitchen, where the other servants were already preparing lunch. None of them commented, but Mary noticed some furtive glances. Had they seen the Baron talking to her? Eleanor appeared shortly after, with that stern look she always wore. "Mary, this afternoon you'll help clean the Baron's study. And be sharp, girl. There are valuable things in there. If anything goes missing, you'll leave here with nothing." Mary swallowed hard. The study, the place where he spent most of his time. In the afternoon, she took the cloths and the bucket of water and went to the study on the ground floor of the main house. The door was ajar. Mary knocked lightly and waited. "Enter," his voice said from the other side. She pushed the door open slowly and stepped inside. The study was large, with bookshelves filled with books, a dark wooden desk covered in papers, and an enormous window overlooking the gardens. But what truly caught her attention was the portrait. On the wall behind the desk, there was a huge painting. A beautiful young woman in a white dress and a gentle smile held a baby in her arms. Beside her, standing, was the Baron, younger, without those lines of weariness on his face, but recognizable. "My wife," he said, without Mary needing to ask. She turned and saw that he was sitting in an armchair in the corner of the room, with a glass of what appeared to be brandy in his hand. He wasn't working, just sitting there. "Forgive me, sir, I didn't mean to intrude." "You weren't." He took a sip of his drink and looked at the painting. She died 3 years ago. Fever took her and the boy with her. Mary felt a pang in her chest. She knew what it was to lose someone. The pain of loss had no social class. It hurt everyone equally. "I'm so sorry, sir." He laughed, but it was a humorless laugh. Everyone is sorry, but no one truly feels it. They just say it because it's what one does. Mary didn't know how to respond. She stood there still, holding the cloth in her hands. "You may clean," he said, making a vague gesture with his hand. "I won't disturb you." Mary began to wipe the bookshelves, trying to concentrate on her work, but it was difficult to ignore his presence there, quiet, looking at the portrait as if he were trapped in another time. After a few minutes, he spoke again. She loved music, sang all day long, made the house alive. Mary stopped what she was doing and looked at him. For the first time, she saw the armor crack. He was no longer the Baron, the important man. He was just a wounded man. "Death is unfair," Mary said softly. "But those who remain must keep living, not because the pain goes away, but because that's what we do." He stared at her, surprised, as if no one had ever said anything like that to him before. "You're too young to speak like that." "I'm old enough to know that pain doesn't choose age, sir." They were silent for a while, a different kind of silence, not uncomfortable, almost intimate. When Mary finished cleaning and left the study, she felt that something had changed. She didn't know what, but she knew that encounter had been different. Weeks passed, and Mary grew accustomed to the estate's routine, waking before dawn, working all day, collapsing into bed exhausted at night, but gradually she began to notice something. The Baron was always nearby. Not that he sought her out directly, but she sought him more often than would be normal. He would pass through the kitchen at lunchtime, something, according to the other servants, that never happened before. He appeared in the garden when she was hanging laundry, and every week he would ask her to clean his study. Eleanor didn't like it one bit. "Think you're important, do you?" The housekeeper spat the words with venom as Mary washed dishes in the kitchen. "Be careful, girl. The Baron won't bring you anything but trouble." Mary didn't respond. She just kept washing the plates, trying to ignore the other servants' glances. She knew what they were thinking, knew what they were whispering behind her back, but what could she do? She had no control over what the Baron did or didn't do. One Saturday afternoon, Mary was cleaning the study when she heard a strange sound. It was music, piano. It came from somewhere inside the house. She stopped what she was doing and listened more closely. The melody was sad, heavy, full of pauses that seemed like hesitations, as if whoever was playing was remembering something painful. Mary dropped the cloth and left the study, following the sound. She crossed the corridor and reached a half-open door. She peeked through and saw. The Baron sat at the piano, playing with his eyes closed. His hands danced across the keys with a skill Mary hadn't expected. He didn't look like the hard, closed-off man she knew. He looked vulnerable. She should have gone back to the study. She should have pretended she saw nothing, but instead, she stood there leaning against the wall, listening. When he finished the music, he remained silent, his hands resting on the keys. "You can come in, Mary," she gasped. How did he know she was there? Mary pushed the door open slowly and entered the room. It was a large space. with the piano in the center and a few other pieces of furniture scattered about. It looked like a place that wasn't used often. "Forgive me, sir. I heard the music and you were curious." He wasn't angry. He even seemed relieved to have company. "It was beautiful," Mary said, approaching slowly. "It was her favorite song," he replied, looking at the keys. "She used to ask me to play it every night before bed." Mary felt her heart ache. She moved a little closer until she was standing beside the piano. "You play very well, sir. I haven't played in 3 years." He ran his hand over the keys without pressing them. "But today, I don't know, I felt like it." They were silent for a moment. Then he looked at her. "Do you sing?" Mary blinked, surprised. "Me, a little. My mother sang and I learned from her. Sing for me." It wasn't a request, but it wasn't an order either. It was somewhere in between. Mary felt her throat tighten. "I don't know if please." And it was that please that convinced her, not because he was the Baron, but because there was something in his voice, something that pleaded for connection, something that pleaded not to be alone. Mary took a deep breath and began to sing. It was a simple song, one her mother used to sing while washing clothes by the river, a melody about longing and hope. As she sang, the Baron began to play, slowly at first, finding the harmony, and then little by little the music and the voice joined together. It was as if two souls, separated by different worlds, found a common ground, a place where differences didn't matter. When the music ended, Mary had tears in her eyes, and looking at the Baron, she saw that he did too. "Thank you," he said, his voice hoarse. Mary simply nodded, not trusting her own voice. In that instant, something changed between them, something that couldn't be undone. Eleanor noticed. Of course, she noticed. That woman had eyes on everything and a tongue sharp enough to cut through stone. It was on a Tuesday morning that things exploded. Mary was in the kitchen helping prepare lunch when the housekeeper stormed in like a hurricane, her face red with rage. "You!" Eleanor pointed a finger at Mary. "Come with me, now." Mary dropped the knife she was using to chop carrots and followed Eleanor into the corridor. The other servants remained silent, watching. "Do you think I'm an idiot?" Eleanor spat the words. "Do you think I don't see what's happening?" "What are you talking about, Mom? Don't pretend. You're making yourself important, flirting with the Baron, thinking you'll get something out of it." Mary felt the blood rush to her face. "I'm not doing any such thing." "Oh, yes, you are. Everyone here has noticed. You're making eyes at him, showing up where you shouldn't, singing to him as if you were some lady of society." Eleanor took a step forward, menacingly. "But I'll tell you something, girl. You are nothing, nothing but a servant. And if I catch you stepping out of line again, I'll send you away without mercy." Mary felt tears burn in her eyes, but she wouldn't let them fall. She wouldn't give Eleanor that satisfaction. "I'm just doing my job, ma'am. Nothing more." "Oh, really? Then why does the Baron keep calling you to his study every week? Why were you seen singing with him in the music room?" Before Mary could answer, a deep voice cut through the corridor. "Because I asked her to." Both women turned. The Baron stood there a few yards away with an expression Mary had never seen before, contained fury. "Baron!" Eleanor straightened immediately, changing her tone of voice. "I was merely—" "You were humiliating an employee without cause." He approached slowly with firm steps. "Mary works well. She does what I ask. And if I want her to clean my study every day, or if I want her to sing, that is my concern, not yours." Eleanor paled. "But sir, people are starting to talk. Let them talk." His voice was cold as ice. And if you ever treat anyone in my household that way again, you will find employment elsewhere. Understood? Eleanor swallowed hard. Yes, sir. You may return to your duties. The housekeeper left with her tail between her legs, but the look she cast at Mary made it clear that this was far from over. When they were alone in the corridor, the Baron looked at Mary. Are you all right? She was far from all right. She was trembling, wanting to cry, to scream, to run away, but she nodded. Yes, sir. He took a step forward, and Mary saw something different in his eyes. Concern. Genuine concern. Don't let her intimidate you. You've done nothing wrong. But she's right, sir, Mary said softly. People will talk. They'll think things that aren't. That aren't what? He interrupted. That don't exist? Mary had no answer, because deep down she knew. She knew there was something between them, something that shouldn't exist, but did. The Baron sighed and ran a hand through his hair. I don't know what's happening, Mary, but I know that. When you're around, the house doesn't feel so empty, and it's been a long time since I felt that. Mary's heart pounded. She knew she should say something sensible, something that put each of them in their place, but the words wouldn't come. Sir, this is dangerous. I know. He looked into her eyes. But I can't stop. And it was at that moment that Mary knew they were entering a territory of no return, a territory where the rules of society didn't matter, but where the consequences would be inevitable. The following days were a silent hell. Eleanor didn't confront Mary directly again, but the hostility hung in the air. The other servants began to treat her coldly, as if she were contagious. Mary felt the weight of their gazes, the whispers that stopped when she entered the kitchen. But there was another weight, the weight of what was growing between her and the Baron. He began to seek her out more, not in a scandalous way, but in small ways. A good morning at the kitchen door, a comment about the weather when he saw her in the garden, requests for her to bring his coffee to the study, and every week the piano. It became routine. Every Friday afternoon, after the work subsided, he would call her to the music room. They didn't talk much, they just played and sang, mostly sad songs, but there was something healing in it, as if, through music, both could express what they didn't dare to say with words. It was on one of those Fridays that everything changed for good. Mary had just finished singing when she felt his hand touch hers. It was a light touch, almost hesitant, as if he too was frightened by his own boldness. She looked at him and saw everything there, the desire, the fear, the confusion. I shouldn't feel this, he said, his voice hoarse, but I do. Mary knew she should pull her hand away. She should leave that room, that house, before it was too late, but she couldn't, because she felt it too. Sir, William, he interrupted her. My name is William. It was the first time he had told her his own name, and somehow that felt more intimate than any touch. William, she repeated, testing the name on her lips. This can't work. You are, and I am. I know what you are, and I know what I am. He held her hand more firmly. But when I'm with you, none of that matters. I feel alive again, Mary. For the first time in 3 years, I feel alive. Tears streamed down her face before she could hold them back, because she felt the same way. She felt as if, for the first time in her life, someone truly saw her, not as a servant, not as someone sold by her family, but as Mary. Just Mary. I feel it too, she confessed, her voice breaking. But this is wrong. They will destroy us. Then let them destroy us. His voice was firm now, determined. I've already lost everything once. I won't lose it again for fear of what they'll say. He stood up, pulled her close, and for the first time embraced her. Mary felt the warmth of his body, the scent of tobacco and wood, the sound of his racing heart. And for a moment, she forgot everything. The differences, the rules, the world outside. It was just the two of them, The news spread like wildfire. It didn't take long for everyone on the estate to know that the Baron and the maid were involved. Endenor lost no time spreading gossip, seasoning it with details that didn't exist, and the consequences came swiftly. First, it was the employees. 2 foremen resigned, saying they wouldn't work for a man who lost his dignity with a servant. Then, it was society. Lady Amelia, one of the most influential women in the county, appeared at the estate one Thursday morning. She came with 3 other ladies, all dressed in black, as if they were attending a funeral. Mary was in the kitchen when she heard the voices approaching. She knew what it was. Everyone knew. "William, for heaven's sake!" Lady Amelia's voice echoed down the corridor. "What are you doing?" Mary couldn't hear his reply, but she heard the retort. "A servant. You are debasing yourself with a servant. What would Cecilia think of this?" That name. Cecilia. His deceased wife. Mary felt a pang in her chest. The argument lasted almost an hour. When the ladies left, their faces were red with indignation. And through the kitchen window, Mary saw William standing on the veranda, hands in his pockets, and an expression of profound weariness. She knew she should leave him alone, but she couldn't. Mary went out the back door and walked around to the veranda. He saw her coming and said nothing. He just waited. "They've left?" Mary asked, even though she knew the answer. "They have, but they'll be back, and they'll bring others." He looked at her. "Do you understand what this means?" "I understand." Mary crossed her arms, trying to shield herself from a chill that wasn't from the wind. "It means I should leave." "No." The answer came quickly and firmly. "Absolutely not. William, they will destroy you. They will make you lose everything, your business, your reputation. And what do I gain if I keep all that but remain alone?" He stepped closer, cupped her face in his hands. "You brought me back to life, Mary. I won't let them take that from me. But your title, your position, they are worth nothing without you." And then he kissed her, right there, on the veranda, where anyone could see. It was a desperate kiss, full of promises and dangers. And Mary responded, because she knew that however wrong it might be, it was the only right thing she had. When they broke apart, both were breathless. "I will protect you," William said, "no matter the cost." But Mary knew that some promises were impossible to keep. The following week was a silent war. Suppliers began to cancel contracts with the estate. Guests who used to visit William disappeared, and letters arrived daily, all with the same tone: disapproval, scandal, shame. Eleanor was finally dismissed. Not because William wanted to, but because she crossed all boundaries by spreading lies about Mary in town. She said the young woman had bewitched the Baron, that she was a schemer, that she was pregnant and trying to extract money from him. None of it was true. But the truth no longer mattered. Mary tried to remain strong. She continued working, keeping her head held high, but it was difficult, especially when the remaining servants treated her as if she were invisible. It was on a Sunday morning that everything reached its limit. Mary was in the garden when she saw a carriage approaching. 5 men stepped out, all well-dressed, with serious expressions. She recognized one of them. It was William's brother, John Peter, who lived in the capital and rarely visited. Mary ran to warn William, but he was already on the veranda waiting. "John Peter," William greeted his brother coldly. "What brings you here?" "What brings me?" John Peter let out a humorless laugh. "You destroying our family name, that's what brings me." The other men entered the house, and Mary stayed outside, trembling. She knew this conversation wouldn't end well. Voices began to rise. Mary could hear snippets through the open window. "You've lost your mind. A servant, some commoner you picked up from the gutter." "Watch what you say, John Peter." "Or what? You'll hit me? You'll cast me out of the family? You've already done worse by joining with this." The sound of something breaking interrupted the conversation. Mary took a step back, startled. When the men left the house, John Peter's face was red with rage. "You are dead to this family," he shouted before getting into the carriage. "Dead!" The carriage departed, kicking up dust. William stood on the veranda, his fists clenched. Mary approached slowly. "William, they want to take my title," he said, his voice controlled. "They say I will stain the family name, that I am not worthy of being a baron." "Then let them," Mary said, taking his hand. "Let go of the title, let go of everything. We can start over somewhere else." He looked at her, and Mary saw tears in his eyes for the first time. "You would give up everything for me?" "I have nothing to give up," she replied with a sad smile. "But you do, and I don't want to be the reason you lose who you are. You don't understand." He pulled her close. "I already lost who I was, and you helped me find someone better." The decision was made on a full moon night, when the estate was steeped in a heavy silence. William had spent the entire day locked in his study, dealing with collection letters, veiled threats, and ultimatums from his family. When night fell, he went to the small room in the back, where Mary was sitting on the edge of the bed, mending a tear in her apron. She looked up when he entered, and she didn't need words to know that something important was coming. William closed the door slowly, as if to keep the entire world outside, and sat beside her on the narrow bed. "Mary," he began, and his voice came out hoarse, laden with emotion. "I've spent the entire day thinking about everything that's happened, everything we're experiencing, the consequences that will come." Mary dropped her sewing and held his hand. "William, I've already told you that no matter what. Let me finish." He squeezed her hand tightly, as if he needed that contact to continue. "I lost my wife. I lost my son. I lived for 3 years like a ghost, fulfilling obligations, being the baron everyone expected me to be. But I was dead inside, Mary. Completely dead." Tears began to stream down her face, but William continued. "Until you arrived. With those frightened eyes, that strength you didn't even know you had, and little by little, without me realizing it, you brought life back into me. It wasn't just the music, it wasn't just the company. It was you, the person you are, the way you see the world, how you keep standing even after everything you've been through." He turned to face her completely, cupping her face in his hands. "I no longer care about the title. I no longer care about the opinion of all these people who never truly cared about me. I only care about you. And I want to spend the rest of my life by your side, in the right way, in an honest way." He took a deep breath. "Marry me, Mary. Not because I need a woman to take care of the house, not because I'm alone, but because I love you. I love you in a way I thought I would never feel again in my life." Mary sobbed, trying to hold back the tears that came with force. She knew what this proposal meant. She knew they would be cast out of society, that William would lose everything he had built, that his name would be dragged through the mud. And she also knew that she couldn't live without him. "William, are you sure?" She had to ask. She had to be certain that he understood what he was doing. "They will destroy you. They will take your title, your land, everything. And I don't want to be the cause of that. I don't want you to look at me 10 years from now and regret it." "Look at me," he asked firmly. "Look into my eyes and tell me if you see regret." Mary looked, and she saw only love, pure, true love, the kind that doesn't care about consequences. "I love you too," she confessed, letting the tears fall freely. "I love you so much it hurts, so much that I'm afraid." "Then let's be afraid together." He smiled through his own tears. "But we'll be together." "Yes," Mary replied, her voice broken with emotion. "Yes, I'll marry you." William pulled her into a tight embrace, and the two of them stayed there, crying, laughing, holding on to each other as if the whole world could collapse around them and nothing would matter as long as they were together. The days that followed were a whirlwind. William tried to find a priest in the region who would agree to perform the ceremony, but everyone refused. The pressure from society was too great, and no one wanted to be associated with the scandal. It was only after searching in 3 different towns that he finally found Father Anthony, an older man who had a different view of things. "Son," the priest said when William explained the situation, "I've seen many things in this life. I've seen arranged marriages that were true prisons. I've seen rich people who had no love in their homes. And I've also seen true love where no one expected it." He looked at William with kind eyes. "If you truly love this young woman, who am I to judge? God sees the heart, not social class." The wedding was set for a Thursday morning in the small chapel in the town of St. Jude's, a 2-hour journey from Blackwood Estate. William told no one, knowing that any leak of the news would cause problems. On the night before the wedding, Mary stayed up late, sewing her dress. It was nothing elaborate, just a simple white dress with long sleeves and a modest neckline. But she put all her care into every stitch, imagining what it would be like to walk down the aisle in that outfit. The other servants who still worked on the estate knew about the wedding, but none of them offered help. The silence was deafening. Mary felt a loneliness she had never felt before. Not even when she was sold by her family had she felt so alone. But then, on the morning of the wedding, as she was finishing getting ready in her small room, she heard a timid knock at the door. It was Rose, the oldest cook who had always been kind to her. "May I come in?" Rose asked. Mary nodded. "Yes," and Rose entered carrying a small wooden box. "I know it's not much," the woman said, opening the box to reveal a simple white lace veil. "It was my mother's. She wore it at her wedding, and I wore it at mine. I thought you might want to wear it today." Mary felt tears well up in her eyes again. "Rose, you don't have to say anything." Rose smiled and placed the veil over Mary's hair, adjusting it carefully. "You deserve to be happy, girl, and I see in his eyes that he truly loves you. May God bless you both." It was with that simple gesture that Mary understood that not all was lost, that there was still goodness in the world. The journey to St. Jude's was made in silence. William held Mary's hand inside the carriage, and the two looked out the window, each lost in their own thoughts. When they arrived at the chapel, the sun was high in the sky, and Father Anthony awaited them at the door. "Welcome," he said with a warm smile. "Shall we begin?" The ceremony was simple and quick. There were no flowers decorating the altar, no music, no guests filling the pews. It was just the two of them, the priest and God as a witness. When it was time for the vows, William held Mary's hands and spoke with a firm voice. "Mary, I promise to love you in good times and bad. I promise to protect you, respect you, and honor you, no matter what the world says. You are my family now, and I will do everything in my power to make you happy." Mary was crying when it was her turn. "William, I promise to be by your side always. Through storms and calm, I promise to love you not for what you have, but for who you are. And I promise to build a dignified life by your side, based on truth and love." "I now pronounce you husband and wife," Father Anthony said, closing the prayer book. "May God bless this union and protect you from harm." And for the first time as husband and wife, William and Mary kissed. It was a kiss full of promises, of hope, of an uncertain future that they would face together. When they returned to Blackwood Estate in the late afternoon, a letter awaited them. The envelope bore the official seal of the Crown, and Mary felt her stomach tighten when she saw William pick up the paper. He read in silence, and with each line his face grew paler. When he finished, his hands trembled. "What is it?" Mary asked, fearing the answer. William handed the letter to her, unable to speak. Mary read, and the world seemed to collapse. The title of Baron of Blackwood was being revoked. William had 30 days to leave the property, and worse still, he was being officially disinherited by his family. His name would be removed from the records, as if he had never existed. William. Mary held his arm, feeling him tremble. "I lost everything," he murmured, his voice hollow. "Everything." "No, you haven't." Mary threw the letter to the floor and turned his face towards hers. "You have me, and that's all that matters. The rest we will rebuild." "How?" His voice broke. "I don't know how to do anything else, Mary. I was raised to be a baron, to manage lands. How will I support us?" "We'll learn." She held his face firmly. "You are intelligent, you are hard-working, and I also know how to do many things. We will find a way, but we won't give up now, not after everything." William embraced her tightly, and Mary felt his tears wet her shoulder. It was the first time she had seen him truly cry, and it broke her heart. But it also strengthened her, because she knew that if they were to survive, they needed to be strong. Both of them. The 30 days passed in a blur. William sold everything he could, saved the money, and prepared to move. The estate would be handed over to an administrator appointed by the Crown until a new owner was decided. Mary helped pack their belongings. They took few possessions, some clothes, important books, personal items. The rest was left behind, including the piano. William tried to sell it, but no one would buy it. They said it was bad luck to buy something from a disgraced man. On their last night at Blackwood Estate, William played one last song on the piano. Mary sat beside him on the bench, and they both cried as the notes filled the empty room. "We'll take these memories with us," Mary said, holding his hand on the keys. "No one can take that away." Early in the morning they departed. The wagon was loaded with their belongings, and the horse pulling it was old but sturdy. William looked back one last time, watching the estate that had been his entire life disappear on the horizon. "Don't look back," Mary said softly. "The future is ahead." They traveled for 3 days until they reached the town of Stonebrook, a small, peaceful place in the countryside. No one knew them there, and that was exactly what they needed, a fresh start where the past wouldn't haunt them. They rented a simple little house on the edge of town. It had 2 rooms, an improvised kitchen, and a bathroom in the back. It was nothing compared to Blackwood Estate, but it was theirs. The first few months were brutally difficult. William looked for work everywhere, but always ran into the same problem. He had no practical experience. He knew how to manage, how to do accounts, how to read and write better than most, but he didn't know how to work with his hands. It was an old carpenter named Manny who gave him his first chance. "Look, young man," Manny said, looking at William with suspicion. "You don't look like someone who knows how to hold a hammer, but I need someone to help in the carpentry shop. The pay is low and the work is hard. Are you in?" William accepted, and he discovered that the old man was right. The work was too hard. His hands, accustomed to holding pens and papers, began to bleed from wood splinters. His muscles ached in a way he never imagined possible. But he didn't give up. Every night he came home exhausted, his hands bandaged, and Mary greeted him with a warm meal and words of encouragement. "You're doing well," she would say, applying ointment to his wounds. "It gets easier every day." And it did. Gradually, William learned the trade. His hands grew calloused, his muscles adapted, and surprisingly, he discovered that he enjoyed working with wood. There was something therapeutic about transforming a rough piece of timber into something useful and beautiful. Mary, in turn, began to offer her sewing services. She put an advertisement in Joe's general store, and soon her first client appeared. It was Mrs. Teresa, a lady who needed a new dress for her daughter's wedding. "Do you know how to make a party dress?" she asked, looking at Mary with suspicion. "Yes, ma'am, I can make it exactly as you wish." Mrs. Teresa hesitated, but eventually accepted, and when Mary delivered the finished dress, the woman was so impressed that she began to recommend her to her friends. In a short time, Mary had more orders than she could handle. Money was still tight, but it was enough to live on. And more importantly, they were happy. Happy in a simple, honest way that no title or fortune could buy. It was on a Saturday night, 6 months after the move, that Mary felt something different, a dizziness, a malaise that wouldn't go away. She thought it was fatigue, but when her period didn't come, her heart pounded. She waited another week before telling William. She needed to be sure. When she finally gathered the courage, it was Sunday morning. William was in the kitchen making coffee, and Mary approached slowly. "William, I need to tell you something." He turned, saw her expression, and immediately became concerned. "What's wrong? Are you sick?" "No, I'm not sick." She took a deep breath. I think I'm pregnant." The silence that followed seemed to last an eternity. William stood still, processing the information. Then slowly, a smile began to form on his face. "Pregnant?" he repeated, as if he couldn't believe it. "Are you sure?" "Almost certain. All the signs are there." And then he laughed, a loud laugh, full of joy, and he picked her up, spinning her around the kitchen. "We're going to have a child." He put her down and cupped her face in his hands. "Mary, we're going to have a child." Tears streamed down her face. "Are you happy?" "Happy." William kissed her passionately. "I'm more than happy. I'm fulfilled. You've given me everything, Mary, everything." The pregnancy was smooth. Mary continued sewing until the 7th month, when her belly became too large to sit for long periods. The women of the town began to treat her with more kindness, giving advice, bringing teas and foods. William became even more dedicated. He worked doubly hard to ensure nothing was lacking, and at night he would talk to her belly, telling stories and singing songs. "She will have a better life than ours," William said one night, his hand on Mary's belly. "She will grow up knowing she is loved, that she was wanted, and she will understand that a person's worth is not in their title, but in their character." "She," Mary corrected with a smile, "it will be a girl." "How do you know?" "A mother knows these things." And Mary was right. When the baby was born on a spring morning, it was a girl, small, perfect, with her father's dark eyes and her mother's nose. "What shall we name her?" William asked, holding his daughter in his arms with all the care in the world. "Helen," Mary replied, tired but radiant. "Helen, which means light, because she is the light that will guide our path." And at that moment, holding their newborn daughter, surrounded by a simple life but full of love, William and Mary understood that they had achieved something far more valuable than any title or fortune. They had achieved the freedom to be themselves, and that was priceless. 3 years passed since Helen's birth. Life in Stonebrook had found a comfortable rhythm. William was now Manny's partner in the carpentry shop, and the furniture he produced was known throughout the region. Mary had expanded her sewing business, hiring 2 assistants and taking orders from neighboring towns. Their little house had been extended. It now had 3 bedrooms, a spacious living room, and even a small garden, where Helen spent her afternoons playing. The girl was bright, talkative, and had inherited her parents' love for music. Every night before bedtime, William sang to her, and Helen accompanied with her slightly off-key voice. It was on a Tuesday morning that the news arrived. Joe, the general store owner, appeared at their house with a newspaper in his hand and a strange expression on his face. "William, you need to see this," he said, handing him the newspaper. William took the paper and read the headline. His face paled. "What is it?" Mary asked, concerned. "It's about the estate," William replied, his voice tense. "John Peter lost everything. His debts were greater than anyone imagined. Blackwood Estate is going to be auctioned." Mary felt her heart ache. She knew what that place meant to William, even after everything that had happened. "And what do you want to do?" she asked, already knowing the answer. William looked at her, then at Helen playing in the garden, and finally back at the newspaper. "I want to try to buy it back." The decision was not easy. It meant using all the savings they had accumulated, borrowing money from the friends they had made in Stonebrook, risking everything they had built. But William felt he had to do it, not out of pride, but because Blackwood Estate represented his roots, and he wanted Helen to know where he came from. The auction took place on a rainy morning. William, Mary, and a few other interested people gathered in front of the estate. The place was abandoned, with weeds growing wild and the walls in need of paint, but the structure was still solid. When the bidding began, William grew tense. Two other interested parties were vying for the property. One was a wealthy farmer from the region, and the other was a merchant from the capital. The bids rose quickly, and Mary saw desperation grow on William's face. "You don't need this," she whispered, holding his hand. "We have a good life in Stonebrook." "I know," he replied, "but I want our daughter to have roots. I want her to know where we came from, what we went through, and how we got here." The auction continued, and just when it seemed William would lose, Manny appeared. The old carpenter had brought other merchants from Stonebrook, all willing to lend money to William. "Son," Manny said, patting William on the shoulder, "you're a good man. You've worked hard, treated everyone with respect. We believe in you, so go out there and win that estate." With the support of his friends, William managed to place the final bid. When the auctioneer brought down the hammer, declaring him the winner, William could barely believe it. Blackwood Estate was his again. The move back was a whirlwind of emotions. Mary was nervous, worried about what it would be like to return to a place that held so many bad memories. But William reassured her. "We won't go back to how we were before," he said. "We'll create something new, something of our own." And that's exactly what they did. The first few months were dedicated to renovating the estate. William hired workers from Stonebrook, offering fair wages and decent working conditions. Mary transformed the main house, removing the heavy, formal furniture and replacing it with simpler, cozier pieces. The study where William used to be confined was turned into a library open to everyone on the property. Any employee or resident of the region could come and borrow books. Mary created a school in the back of the estate where the workers' children learned to read, write, and do arithmetic. News of Blackwood Estate's transformation spread. The same people who had condemned William years ago now looked with curiosity at what he was building. Lady Amelia even sent a letter asking to visit them, but William politely declined. He held no grudge, but he also had no interest in returning to those social circles. "We've built a different life," he explained to Mary, "a life based on honest work, dignity, and respect. I don't need their approval." Helen grew up surrounded by love and freedom. She ran through the estate's corridors, played with the workers' children, learned about the land and animals, and every Friday afternoon the tradition continued. William had managed to buy a new piano, not as beautiful as the old one, but it worked perfectly. And there in the music room the family gathered. William played, Mary sang, and Helen danced in the middle of the room, her laughter filling the space. On one of those afternoons, almost 5 years after returning to Blackwood Estate, Mary was on the veranda watching the activity on the estate. The workers were finishing their day, the children were leaving school laughing, and Helen was running through the garden chasing butterflies. William approached from behind, wrapping his arms around her. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, resting his chin on her shoulder. "I'm thinking about how far we've come," Mary replied, leaning into him. "Remember when we had nothing but each other?" "I remember, and I remember thinking that was enough." "It was," she agreed. "But look at what we've built. It's not just about having the estate back. It's about what we've done with it, the lives we've touched, the opportunities we've created." William kissed the top of her head. "You changed everything, Mary. It wasn't just my life you saved, it was my soul. And you gave me dignity," she replied, turning to face him. "You showed me I was worth more than what my family did to me. You taught me that love has no social class." They kissed right there on the veranda as the sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky orange and pink. Helen came running, interrupting the moment with her endless energy. "Mummy! Daddy! Look what I found!" She showed them a little yellow flower she had picked. "Can I plant it in the garden?" "Yes, my love," Mary said, picking up her daughter. "Tomorrow we'll plant it together." That night, after putting Helen to bed, William and Mary stayed on the veranda, watching the stars. "Do you regret anything?" Mary asked, breaking the silence. William thought for a moment. "I regret not having been braver before, for letting fear and the opinions of others control me for so long. But regret you? Our life? Never. Even having lost your title, your position. Mary, I gained much more than I lost." He took her hand. "I gained a partner, a true family, a purpose. And I learned that true nobility doesn't come from a paper signed by the crown. It comes from how you treat people, how you live your life, the values you pass on." Mary smiled, feeling her eyes well up. "Helen will grow up knowing that. She will grow up knowing that love overcomes all barriers." "She will," William agreed, "and she will grow up free to choose her own path, her own love, her own life, without caring about what society expects of her." Years later, when Helen was a young adult, she used to sit with her parents and ask about how they met, and William and Mary would tell the story, not omitting the difficult parts, the judgments, the losses, but always ending with the same lesson. "True love knows no barriers," William would say. "And when you find something real, something that transforms you and makes you better, you fight for it, no matter the cost." And Helen understood. She saw in her parents' love, in the way they looked at each other, in the partnership they built, that those were not just pretty words. It was a truth lived, tested by the fire of adversity and strengthened by every challenge overcome. Blackwood Estate prospered under the new administration. It became known not for its pomp or ostentatious wealth, but for the justice and humanity with which it was managed. People from all over the region sent their children to study at the school Mary created. Workers vied for positions on the estate, knowing they would be treated with dignity, and every Friday without fail, music filled the room. Because William and Mary never forgot where they came from, never forgot what united them, and never let success erase the essence of what they had built. On the last Friday of each month, they opened the estate to the community. People came from afar to hear William play and Mary sing. And amidst that music, surrounded by friends, neighbors, and the daughter they loved more than anything, William and Mary understood the true meaning of the word freedom. It wasn't about having money or position. It was about having the courage to be who you truly are, to love who you love, and to build a life based on truth and integrity. This was the freedom no title could give, and no society could take away. And so, under the roof of Blackwood Estate, renewed and transformed, lived a family united not by noble blood or inherited wealth, but by the purest love that exists. The love that chooses, that fights, that resists, and that, in the end, always wins. And so ends the story of Mary and William, two hearts that defied the world to find each other. If this narrative touched your heart, if you believe in the power of love that transforms and liberates, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments which moment moved you the most. Your participation is what motivates us to continue bringing stories that warm the soul. Until the next journey,